welcome to Channel 5 KTSSR News. Our first story is on the building of the Berlin Wall, reporting to you from Ashley Owen.
On the morning of August 13, 1961, the people of Berlin woke up to a shock on the border between East and West Berlin. Last night, a barbed wire fence was constructed along the border, blocking exit and entryway from both sides. East Germany decided to begin building this wall in order to prevent the overflow of emigration from East Berlin to West Berlin. The fence will eventually be developed into a concrete wall, and guard towers will be placed along the length of it. Many citizens were shocked to see the construction of this barrier, but East Berlin has assured that the wall will protect our population from the influences of West Berlin. Overall, the building of the Berlin Wall will benefit our people and the Soviet Union.
Thank you, Ashley Owen. We will now be covering a story on the space race, reporting to you from our own Trevor Milliken.
Successfully launched the first satellite, Sputnik 1, into space. The polished sphere of metal had little use, and it only translated a simple relay of beeps through a radio signal, yet it proved humans were capable of reaching out past our atmosphere. This occurrence happened on October 4th, 1957, marking the human race's first connection with outer space. Since then, both the mighty USSR and the USA have been in a space race for space superiority. Important dates to mention are to the 12th of April, 1961, when the USSR sent the first human into space. His name was Yuri Gagarin. Another important date is the 5th of May, 1961, when the USSR had the first suborbital spacecraft that was manually controlled in space.
Thank you, Trevor Milliken, for that interesting news report. We will now be cutting to a short break, but don't leave. We have interesting news reports coming your way.
Do you have dry, unhealthy hair? Are you bored and in desperate need of a change? Well, now you can fix all your hair problems with Soviet Silk shampoo. Get long, healthy, and luscious hair with Soviet Silk. Its all-natural ingredients will enliven your hair and always leave it looking fresh.
Before I tried Soviet Silk, my hair was dull and sad and not pretty. But after trying Soviet Silk, my hair transformed into a completely beautiful head of hair. I can now go out and be proud of my new hairstyle. Thank you, Soviet Silk. Buy it today. Welcome back. We will now have Trevor Milliken be reporting to you on our Man of the Year, Fidel Castro.
By 1969, this man has achieved almost or as much as our glorious Stalin. He is now in office as the first secretary of the Communist Party of Cuba, starting this position in 1959. His belief in leftist anti-imperialism, and he has taken a key role in the Cuban Revolution, overtaking Bastista's forces in 1959. In 1961, he adopted Marxist-Leninism as his guiding ideology and proclaimed the socialist nature of the Cuban Revolution.
Thank you, Trevor. We will now be hearing about the Cuban Missile Crisis, reporting to you from Julia Hansen. Reporting from the Soviet Union. Recently, the Soviet Union has placed the missiles in Cuba as a strategic military and political statement to the world about the actions of America. According to recently released documents pertaining to the crisis, the idea came to our leader, Khrushchev, to use it as a countermessage to the U.S. We felt that the U.S. had been flexing its muscles, and some of the more recent decisions and actions by the states had countered what we have been led to believe. Because Cuba was such under great threat by the U.S., we had no other choice but to defend it and to help Cuba in its time of crisis. Thank you, Julia. Our last story will now be on the Bay of Pigs invasion, reporting to you by Nick Nguyen.
The Bay of Pigs invasion was an unsuccessful attempt to invade southern Cuba by the U.S.-trained CIA forces. The U.S. wanted to overthrow the Cuban government and Fidel Castro. Cuba was backed by the Eastern Bloc nations, and this invasion took place on Playa Girón at the mouth of the bay. It's named after the Bay of Pigs. The Soviet secret intelligence found out the date of the Cuban attack, and KGB agents also informed Cuba of the U.S.'s attack. At 0000 hours on the 17th of April, 1961, two CIA LCIs and an underwater demolition team entered the Bay of Pigs. The U.S. troops were delayed due to engine failures and boat damage due to unseen coral reef. The few militia in the area succeeded in warning the Cuban forces of the U.S.'s attempt. Fidel Castro and his Cuban forces managed to stop the U.S. Army with the help of the Eastern Bloc nations. This failure humiliated the young Kennedy administration and lowered morale in the United States. But the Eastern Bloc nations felt more powered and the morale was raised.
And now we will go to Nick Nguyen for sports.
This is how America plays soccer.
This is how Soviets play soccer. Soviet Union always wins over America in everything, including sports.
And now, on to the weather.
Today's forecast calls for a cold, snowy day. Highs will be up to 40s, and the lows will be down to the mid-20s. What a perfect day to get a cup of hot chocolate and a movie to watch. What perfect weather we have in the Soviet Union, as always.
Are your shoes out of style? Get Converse today. They are cool, comfortable, and totally in style. You'll never feel like a loser when wearing Converse. They are only $29.99, and you will always look fresh, just like this kid. And you can get them in white too. Buy Converse today.
Hello! Welcome to World's Best Dance Crew. This is Joseph Stalin, aka Thug Stalin, reporting to you from the Soviet Union. Here we have the United States against the Soviet Union in the unending finals. We will soon see who is the most prevailing country in the art of dance. First up, we have the United States.
Yo, man, I just wasn't digging that.
You know, like, I don't know, maybe next time, like, a little more swagger of that stuff. Like, I just wasn't really feeling it. Well, that sure was interesting. Next up, we have the Soviet Union.
Barbra Streisand. The pimp's in the crib, ma. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. When the pigs try to get at you, park it like it's hot. Park it like it's hot. Park it like it's hot.
Yo, man, that was off to his house.
That was just so good. I loved it. You guys are definitely on my hot tamale train. And the winner for the 2012 World's Best Dance Crew is, of course, the Soviets. Woo! We are the champions, my friends. And we'll keep on fighting till the end.
Oh man, that's messed up. I tried so hard.